It's me, Sean Capri, and welcome to We the GamerCast. It publishes on podcasts and youtube.com/carpoolgaming every single Monday. Patrons get it first. Thank you for telling your mom, for telling your dad, and telling your friends. My goodness gracious, I haven't said a word most of the day. I came downstairs from my bed and I'm like, I gotta get this episode out. I've got to get this thing going. Oh, but I feel like crap, you guys. I'm so sorry. I sound off. I'm as surprised as you are. Trust me. The kids and Chelsea have been out all day. I was feeling not so good, and not gonna lie, that hay, I was really pushing through it. I'm a little lightheaded through it. If you're watching on YouTube, you can tell there is no video. That's not happening today. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm feeling so conflicted right now because I just want to like go to bed and rest and do whatever the heck is going to be required to get this out of my system. Oh my gosh. But I've got such a great conversation waiting for you on this episode with Mark Carabin, one of my longest friends on the internet, fellow Canadian. And I'm so excited for you guys to hear it. So we're going to get into it in just a little bit. I want to update you guys on one thing. I ordered just the absolute greatest monitor. Some of you have heard this. I've ordered like my dream monitor from Amazon on Prime Day last week. It's still not here. I'm starting to get my doubts. I think something horrendous has happened. So stay tuned for that. But I'm not gonna lie. When my when I get sick like this, everything is broken right now with me, you guys. And I'm gonna leave that for maybe another time because I don't want to poo-poo this amazing conversation with Mark Carabin. You guys have got to hear it. But before we do that, I am uplifted by everybody who supports us at Patreon, at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, especially our ultimate producers. You know them, Tony Baker from Quest for Pixels at youtube.com/Quest for Pixels. Dallas Ford, co-host of The Blame Game. You can go to YouTube, you can get the link, click on the link and subscribe. Get those guys to 100 subs right now. Emily O'Kelly, Trucker Sloth, Johnathan Brown, and his new album In My Element on Spotify and Apple Music. Lee Navarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team. Skinny Matt, hosting Carpool Gaming Community Game Nights over at twitch.tv/SkinnyMattK. And Robby Bobby Miller at twitch.tv/Robby Bobby Miller. All the links are in the show notes. Please support our ultimate producers, our platinum producers, Brendan Myers, Marcus McCracken, Becky Rubin Navarro, and RJ Kern, and all of our gold members, Anna, Argo, Cecily Carrozza, Dallas Robbins, Dano, Foolish Fuji, Jose Jimenez, Marcus O'Neill, Mostly Martinez, Nagachaka, The Snack Network, Mr. and Mrs. Nasty Boots. Thank you guys all so much. Holy cow. There's so much content going on over there. We recorded an episode of the Yumi and Capri podcast with Ryan, and of course Court. He joined us this time and it was a good time. You guys should go check that out. The Console War Room is up there as well. I was supposed to record Sweet Hangs with Donnie today, and it was not happening. So thank you guys so much for all of your support. I'm gonna just jump right into it. Mark Carabin, who I of course met through Bobby Paul's, and I have got a special clip at the very end of this episode. I hope you guys will support Mark. Many of you already do. He's the Canardian on Twitter, and as I check this, he just tweeted his 6,666th tweet. That's amazing. He's at _Canardian. You can find him on Co-op Mode and a slew of other podcasts from the Secret Friends Unite network of podcasts. So here he is, my good friend Mark Carabin.
But yeah, how are things with you? It's late for you, man. I'm sorry for this late night, dude. And you got an early morning tomorrow as well.
Hey, it's fine. It's 11 p.m. when we started, but I'm awake. I ate a full rack of ribs.
Oh my gosh.
At like 9:30, 9:45 for some reason, because I thought that was a good idea.
Is that like second dinner? Is that like, or is that just
kind
getting down
of
to it?
Yeah. It was like I had a small supper when I fed Finn, because we thought like there's a rib fest in town for the weekend. So like I made sure Finn was all fed and all that kind of stuff because my wife was out for a bit after work. And so I ate like a little bit with Finn, but like nothing major because I was kind of waiting for her and just like sitting there like, do you want to do rib fest? Yeah, if we don't do it tonight, maybe we probably won't do it, through the weekend, because, I end up to the cottage tomorrow. I was like, okay, yeah, let's do this at I left the house at 8:30, and she was getting him to bed, and I was like, this is going to be hefty. So I'm kind of happy that you delayed this, because at 10 o'clock, an hour ago, I'm cleaning rib stuff off my face, and it's almost like the Anchorman, milk was a bad choice, ribs were a bad, I was feeling it, just a full rack of barbecue smoked ribs.
Just meat sweats for the rest of the evening.
Essentially. So, I'm a little meat sweaty now, but definitely not like I was an hour ago.
Well, that's good. There's nothing quite like just a big hunk of ribs, just a bunch of meat. I don't know if that's weird toxic masculinity or whatever, but there's something special about it. You're just like, I'm gonna go to town on this thing. Let's just have it. Who cares?
That's it. Yeah. If you're a meativore, then I think that's pretty special.
We've all kind of been there. Yeah.
I apologize to any vegans or vegetarians that are listening that are just monsters.
Just this terrible. You started with this?
Yeah.
You didn't even ramp up to it or anything?
No, just straight into that stuff. Yeah.
I have speaking of that, there's been a couple times where, I don't really seek out PETA videos or anything what is it? People, I don't even know what PETA actually stands for.
Ethical treatment of animals, I believe.
Oh, nailed it. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. So I don't often see these videos or anything, and more often than not, it's they have a problem with Donkey Kong or something, and it's okay, just enough is enough. But I will admit, I saw one video that really made me at least think. I still eat meat. I had, we had meat tonight. But it was one where it's it kind of did a rewind from people serving bacon. And it was okay, before that it was packaged up in the fridge. And before that you bought it at the grocery store. And before that it was blah, blah, blah. And it kind of just rewound to where that came from. I'm huh, yeah, I guess that, obviously, you know, some of it would, bacon is... trees. Right, exactly. Well, bacon is a mystery. Bacon is the one that you can fool people for a little while. But chicken, you call chicken.
Right.
That's pretty obvious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it came to with the kids around, where I'm you go have some chicken, and they're very literal. Especially Lincoln, he's a very literal kid. I always wonder if that kind of hits them. What are we eating here? What is this? What was this? I
think has he ever met chickens? Because depending on how that goes, okay,
yeah, petting zoos and stuff. They've definitely been around stuff we've eaten before,
right.
or fish.
Yeah,
fish too. Yeah.
Right. Because I think it depends on how meeting the animals go. 'Cause if you can look into the eyes, if a chicken and the chicken's just an asshat. And he's pecking at you or trying to do something, shenanigans or something. You're oh, I'm gonna turn you into nuggets. But if it's a sweet chicken, you're I don't want to eat Mr. Buck Buck. This is not great.
It is weird.
I
don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
We gotta do what we gotta do, I guess.
That's it. And you know where it comes from, but sometimes it's nice to have the out of sight, out of mind. But I don't
big time
appreciate it. You know what I mean? I don't hunt, but I kind of get that.
That was going to be my next question.
The kind of thing.
Have you ever gone hunting? Does anybody in your family go hunting or anything like that?
No, not really.
Yeah.
No.
We are nerds, man. We don't go in the. I was talking to Ryan today, and I asked him if he'd ever had a massage, and he said that would involve me going outside. I'm what are you talking about? Just go outside then. I don't know.
I don't mind the outside stuff. I've done, fishing. I guess to be the extent of it with my dad.
Yeah.
But never hunting stuff. But I've shot guns and bows and arrows and all that kind of stuff. So I probably could. I guess if I felt like it. Zombie apocalypse style. I know where the deer are. Let's go.
That was obviously my train of thought. There was
right.
Are you?
Should I right now? I just
Should I come to you in the middle of a zombie apocalypse? I'll trek on over.
Yeah,
whatever, 3,000 kilometers
across the country during a zombie apocalypse. I think we're okay.
Oh my gosh, I don't think people realize how far apart we are. We both say we're in Canada, but I don't think people realize the distance, the different biomes that are between us. It's like first level, and then like last level is how you cross Canada to get to between us.
So driving between 8 and 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
A day.
Yeah.
Would take me 5 to 7 days to reach you.
Yeah. And you might even go into the US for a little bit of that. I think it's actually shorter.
Which way you go, yeah. I think the shortest route does cut through the US for a little bit.
Have you ever done anything like that? Have you ever gone on like a long road trip, or are you kind of just around where you are? Yeah.
Yeah. The furthest I've driven, see, I don't know the distance wise. So which one's further? I'm not sure, but I've driven to Toronto a couple of times.
That's a ways.
Yeah, that's a couple of day trek. And I've driven all down through like the New England states, so like all down through the eastern part.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
I've done that one a couple of. I used to travel across the country for a job.
Yeah,
that was like I did university recruitment, so like travel was just what I did. I was home for like a weekend to do laundry, and then I'd be gone for another like 3-4 weeks or whatever.
Like in your 20s, like early 20s or what?
Yeah. Early 20s. Just after I graduated from university, I worked for the same university. So kind of burns you out after 4 years. That's literally just living out of a suitcase and whatever. But I got to see a whole lot of really fun, cool places.
That's awesome.
Literally, like, I think every province except maybe 1 or 2 in Canada. And like I said, down through all the eastern states. And just all over the place. It was a cool job.
Did you leave because of the travel, or something else came up, or there's something very alluring about that in this moment, and especially after the last 2 years, it's like, oh, that would be awesome. But it's tough on family for sure. Like if you have wife and kids and stuff, like that's pretty tricky. And
so it was, for the first little while, it was really, really fun. And then, like I said, you usually get burnt out. So most people in that job that I knew lasted a couple years. There's pretty high turnover.
Yeah.
So you last, a year or two or whatever, and that kind of, or you get the people who are just lifers and that are in it for like the long haul, but either have like super cool significant others or none at all, because like you said, it is kind of stressful on that kind of thing. And
they're cool until they ain't cool with it anymore. That's like, I was trying to be patient. I thought you'd move on to something by now, but
that is kind of how it happened. Like there was another job in the university that opened up, and I had started dating the woman who's now my wife, and it was kind of like, well, I kind of want to be here and hang out with you more often. Yeah. So what's closer to, look at this, it just opened up in. So everything kind of came together, and then I ended up not liking that job, but then I just kind of left the university after that instead of going back to recruitment. So. Would
you have moved anywhere else? Like, did you ever vision leaving? Like, obviously you found something that kind of settled you down, but like, would you ever, like, you got to discover so much more than most people, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was on the lookout, like actively on the lookout while I was traveling. Cause when I junior high school, especially, even some of university, because I went to university 5 minutes from where I grew up, so I got to stay at home and save money that way, and I didn't have like scholarships or anything, so it was nice to have that stay at home. But it was I was actively looking for somewhere else to just get away. I need to get out of here.
Was that always the plan, kind of like growing up? Is that a thing? Like, because I never really know. It seems like a lot of people from out east, like especially in the time zone that you're talking about, like the like oil was just crazy in Alberta. We're just like, I can't even believe we have any land. It's just like a lake of oil, and we're just kind of like, there's like platforms and stuff that we're just like balancing on.
They used to say if all the Newfies and Cape Bretoners came back from Alberta, the islands would sink.
Honestly, yeah.
And because there was a ton, especially like Fort McMurray when that was in its heyday, kind of thing. Like everyone was just kind of moving out that way. Yeah. And I spent some time out there, and that kind of aspect of it wasn't really for me. I liked Calgary and Edmonton just fine, but not enough to kind of draw me to the west. If I was going to go west, it would probably end up in BC somewhere.
Go all the way.
I loved Victoria. Went out there for a bit of recruitment that the Canadian military got me to do. So they took me on like a destroyer ship for a day. It was like badass as hell. Yeah, really.
No way. Oh, that's dude. That's 2 weeks in a row. That's amazing. Talking to people on boats. That's sweet.
Yeah, it was a cool experience. So I really loved, Victoria especially, but also everything's so crazily expensive out there. It's wild. So then I like come home to the East Coast and Cape Breton in particular, and it was like, like there's trailers out west in Alberta and stuff that were like, $250,000 like back
Seriously.
in those days or more. And I come home and I like the house I'm sitting in, I literally bought for like 113 or something like that. Like,
like it's not even close. It's the same currency. It's the same. It's obviously Canadian currency, but it's just different, totally different climate and cultures and everything. Like it really is. You can actually get it. Like, did you ever experience sort of like any culture shock? You're very adaptable. I feel like, I don't know if it would really hit you as much as others.
Big cities, culture shock for sure for me. Like Toronto is really weird, or Toronto, whatever you want to. I sometimes like overpronounce it when I'm doing podcasts because I'm so used to talking to Americans.
Now that you say it, I don't know how I would say it. Toronto. I don't know.
No, I'm in your head. Sorry.
I know.
So yeah, those kind of like big culture shocks. I quickly realized that like big city life is definitely not for me. Definitely, that's not how I'm built, not how I'm paced. I also found out that I pretty much need to be near water because anytime I'm not near water, my skin just dries out and I like.
Oh my god, it's disgusting, dude!
It's gross. It's not good. I am part fish. I think it's
part fish.
Island life was not the years away from me. I if it wasn't here, I'd probably be in Newfoundland. I remember actually applying for a few jobs in Newfoundland and like trying to kind of move to like St. John's or somewhere. Yeah. That was a little bit more city-esque, but still kind of like that island East Coast feel kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I felt really, really comfortable there. But again, anytime I'd go out west, I'd like meet friends from like school. Like I'd stay with buddies or whatever, or like have a hotel, but still meet up with friends that I knew. So it wasn't really like culture shock that way. So I'd say like big city, that kind of stuff. But I always liked it. It was just like, don't want to live here, but I'm going to experience the hell out of this while I'm here. So
that is it, man. And there's something very special about that, I think, is like there's always like this allure of all these other places. I feel like almost no matter where you're from, unless you're from New York or like San Francisco, or whatever. But then, so like for me, it was kind of going to New York City for the very first time. And I thought like, who wouldn't want to live in New York City? And then I spent a week there. I'm like, I mean, I'm kind of okay. Like nothing against New York City. I was just like, this is intense, man. And looks so expensive. And you live in a shoebox. Like the realities of life kind of hit me. I'm like, I can make my living back over here. It's not the greatest, but whatever. But you guys must know that you have it better than everybody else. Like that's my retirement plan, man. Like I remember once I had a rough day at work and me and my boss were like, how much can we go to like New Brunswick or something? Like just like sell our Alberta houses and just like go over there. Like how much we could probably pocket some cash and go live out over there. It's so much better, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, there's some downsides, some very big downsides. And one just happened a few weeks ago when you sent me a message saying like, hey, I just got what the hell did you get? Like a $50 friggin' flight to Toronto for the Xbox thing?
Yeah, it was like $80.
Yeah. And I looked up my flights and it was like $400 each way. And they made sure to slap you in the face at the airport and like punch you. I think that was built into the ticket price. So it was just to twist your nips before you go through the scanner. It's just crazy. It's like when you're here, you have to stay here. Or anytime I want to go somewhere, I'm like, maybe I could steal a boat. Like how coastal is this? Like in New York, yeah, I could steal a boat. Let's just
go around.
Like it's crazy, man.
How much food we need?
Yeah. It's wild. It is. It can be hard to leave. Yeah. And there's, so there is some of that isolation bit over here. But otherwise it is, I'm happy. And that's kind of why I settled here. Right. It was like, I've seen everywhere else. And back to the culture shock thing. And you mentioned New York, like some of the bigger parts of the States, but like, man, the States were so different. I didn't expect it to be that different. Like growing up, like we grew up watching a lot of United States TV and this and that. But everything was in New York. So it was like, you Ninja Turtles or like Gotham City's like an exaggerator
Yeah.
or whatever. Like, but like Ghostbusters, like everything's in New York.
Yeah,
And then you get out of there and you're like, hey, here's your chicken feed and gun store, and here's your tire and gun store, and here's your bank plus fireworks. And it's, what the hell country is this? We're driving through like New Hampshire, and it was just like, where am I and why is everything just great? Like I thought it was like the Wild West on the East. Like that it's very big culture shock that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely whenever you think you know something and then you like come into contact with it and you realize like you had no idea. Like there's a good probably half dozen or so things that come to mind when I think about stuff like that. But I didn't know how like on top of each other like the cities were on the East Coast, like the 13 colonies or whatever. Like I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like they couldn't really have gone all that far. They just went like, well, a couple of miles that way, like new city, boom, we're gonna be right here. I'm like, so as I was taking the train from one time I was in Washington DC and I took the train up to New York, and there's a little bit of space like Virginia and everything was really nice, and all of a sudden it's just like city, and just what? Like Edmonton and Calgary in Alberta, we're the big cities out here, and there's 3 hours of nothing in between. There's a Red Deer in between, and that is it, man. I'm used to like highway, just like nothing. So I was very surprised by that.
Awesome.
What's that?
Driving in Alberta is awesome. It's just
so
much
straight.
And it's so flat. And
oh
like,
man,
so I remember driving
awesome.
from,
you fall asleep.
Was it driving from Calgary to Lethbridge one time? And I had this like black Chevy Impala that I had rented out there for a little bit. And those things can like, it might be like a bit of a mom car, but like those things can really kick it too if you really wanted to. And I just opened that thing up because I was like, hey, is there any cops around? No, I can see 3 hours ahead of me.
Seriously. I know. How does anybody get caught by these cops? They're just like, you can see them four hours down the road. It's amazing.
It's all like twists and turns and mountains here. Like you can't go 2 feet without a blind turn. It's like, I got to lock it in cruise control. And it's like, it's so different driving out there. I loved it.
That's just it. And these are the things I feel like people just need to see, like just the different, like we talk about biomes in video games and stuff, but like there really are, like you go, even Calgary, just, I mean, an hour or so west of Calgary, and like you're in the mountains, like you are in it, man. I was just going to say that was, so when coming back from that same trip, I took the long way and drove around like the mountains and stuff. It was such a beautiful, just like, escape of just the like the Rocky Mountains just there. And that's something that we don't have out here. Like we have, a few kind of, I'll say mountains, but they're glorified friggin' hills compared to what's out there. Like it's amazing. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's breathtaking.
See, breathtaking. Now, so we got to get you on a $1,400 flight, and we'll meet up in Banff, Alberta. We'll do like a ski trip or something, man. That'd be amazing. That would actually be really great.
I would.
I don't know that anybody would be like really into it. Like, do you ski at all? Like, do you do anything?
I used to
kind of outdoorsy. Yeah.
I used to ski a ton, like back through like high school, even university and stuff, and haven't in the last few years. But my wife said she wants me to teach her, so I got to kind of undo the rust and then teach her how to ski. But I'd love to get Finn into skiing and stuff too. So
it's good when
I
they're
think in
young,
the next few years that's something I'm going to get back into for sure.
How old is he now? How old is Finn?
He turned 2 at the end of May.
I don't know why I thought he was way older, dude. That's crazy. Yeah. He's just 2. Holy cow.
That's it.
Is it fast for you though? Because it seems like I feel like we're so far apart. We're living in different like time speeds. That's what we've just determined. Actually, like some sort of relativity thing is happening here. My kids are aging faster than yours. How is this possible?
I can't, like, anytime I see pictures of Lincoln, I think it's so crazy, and Ellie too. But like Lincoln, I think so. And for anyone that's listening and keeping tabs, the last time I think I was on this show was like we were coming up, I think, on 5 years. Yeah. So the last time we spoke, I think Lincoln was new. Yeah. I was maybe just married, I think, because it's 6 years this
Holy
year.
Crap. Yeah, because you guys were doing Disney.
Yeah. So I was just married. Holy shit. So you
haven't aged a day.
Like,
I don't think you have.
There's like 2 new kids and a kid that's like grown up. Like Lincoln's just like doing his own thing, has his own interests and stuff. And it's amazing to see anytime you or Chelsea post. But like, I do see the same thing with Finn. Like, he got a haircut yesterday. And I sent a picture of the two of us. Like I said, she was out after work. So I sent a picture of us chilling on the couch, and he's got like his bag full of like goldfish or whatever, crackers and stuff. And, like, he's just sitting there, and he looks like a little boy. He doesn't look like a baby in that picture. And he still very much is a baby, or at least a toddler in a lot of ways, but he's learning new words every day, and he's becoming more like he knows what things are, and like, you know, either tells you what he wants or shows you the direction that he wants, and knows to grab your attention, and that empathy part of it, of like, he knows what you're looking at and what you should be looking at, and that kind of, you know, he can see things from your perspective kind of thing. And it's like, that's wild. He is growing up very fast.
He's a person. He's like an actual, like, he has like his own mind, and he's like thinking and learning. Like, that just blows me away. It's both exciting and terrifying all at the same time. Like, oh, you're making up like your own decisions here. Oh, okay. Like, forming your own opinions, and the personality is coming through. It's crazy. Haircuts will always do that for me though. Even still, like, and they probably always will. Like, when Lincoln gets a haircut, like, I still remember the first time he got one. I don't get overly emotional about like moments with the kids. It's mostly like I watch like a commercial on TV, and I'm like, you know, just a mess. But like, Lincoln had a haircut, and I'm like, oh, I don't like this at all. Like, he just like, he came back into, I'm like, come, like, bring my little boy back. I don't like it. I don't like it, Mark.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's wild how much a little change like that, or like a new outfit or something, like he was wearing some some like fancier looking shoes. Like, they were still Velcro, but they kind of looked more like Docker style, instead of like, you know, Paw Patrol sneakers that light up and shit when you walk around. Like, he's wearing some like big boy shoes yesterday, and got his hair cut, and was like, he looked like a boy rather than a baby. It's wild.
See, in a couple of years, they're going to be dressing like more grown up than we are. Like, we're going to still have our
I'm wearing my like,
shirts
Alderaan shirt.
The weather on Alderaan,
and there's nothing for Thursday and Friday for anyone not watching the video. It goes to 15,000 degrees and then nothing. Too soon.
That's
maybe?
Such a good shirt, man.
It's terrible. I love it. I couldn't not buy it when I saw it, but it's so he's definitely going to have a better fashion sense than me. I think he does already. Legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he have any sort of like tendencies like mom or dad, or like at two? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Big time. Yeah. We both picked him up. Usually I'll pick him up from daycare just cause I work closer, but my wife ended up coming down close to where I work. So I just kind of picked her up yesterday, and we both went, and he pushed her out of the way to get to me.
Wow.
It was insulting. And, a little.
Does he always prefer, like, is that like a preference kind of thing? Like, yeah. Oh, that's kind of nice.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I like it. I like
take it.
Dad mode has been, it's been very easy for me.
Yeah.
I just like, I feel like I was just kind of built and made for just being his dad, or being a dad.
That's
or
the best.
whatever it is. But like, it just like clicked, like, oh man, it was like before he came out, even like, I just kind of feel her belly. And it was just like, all right, dude, I know you, like, there's just something there that we're just connected, and this is going to be like the best.
That's
and
awesome.
It has been every single day since, man. It's awesome. It's the best thing ever.
I remember messaging you a couple months after Finn was born, because I remember it did not click with me. I was 6 months in. I'm like, okay, I am an absolute disaster right now. This is not going good for me. So I was always checking in with like new dads, and you were like, yeah, I'm good. I'm like, awesome. Good. Yeah. Of course you are. Like, yeah, that's the way it totally should go. Like, I don't know what else I was expecting.
I mean, I think it's different for everyone, right? Like some people it just comes, I think, a little bit more naturally maybe, but there's still stuff you got to work at and be patient. But for me, like, I've always been good with kids. I've always loved kids. I've always wanted kids.
Have you been around kids? That's where where my mind was thinking, like, how did that happen? Yeah.
So my sister has 2 kids. They live in Alberta. That's why I mapped out, by the way, earlier. I rhymed off how long it takes to drive. I don't just know how long it takes to drive to your house. I'm not that creepy. My sister, because the flights in Canada are so messed up.
Yeah.
Like literally a few days ago, my sister and I were like talking and like mapping out like how long would it actually take you to drive. This year, she's only coming home for a couple of weeks, so it doesn't really make sense for her to drive. But she was like, man, if I had more time, 100%, that would be the road trip of a lifetime. Take the boys like across a country.
Yes.
Like some core memory unlock kind of thing. But anyway, yeah, sorry, back, what were you asking?
What Disney movie was that? Is that Inside Out? The core memory?
Yes, that was Inside Out, yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, so that's why I knew how long it takes to drive across the country. But so my sister has 2 kids, 11 and 9.
Oh, yeah.
And when Jensen, the oldest one, was born, like he lived very close. They still lived here, so like instantly around them. When I met my wife, we used to babysit her cousin's kids. So her, like an older cousin that had 5 kids. Mm-hmm. So we babysat them all the time, and kind of they grew up with us, and I instantly became I'm going to say this on the internet. Okay, so I became Professor Smelly Bottom. Because I used to go over and just make them laugh, and at like any time, like family gatherings, it'd be like the adults over here and then the kids over here, and I'm jumping in with the kids instantly, and I'd do like funny voices, and Professor Smelly Bottom would come out and just like do the stupidest shit I could to make the kids laugh. And
you're that uncle, man. That's really special. That's the best. Is there? How many? Who else is in your family? Like, do you have brothers and sisters? I can't remember. Are you an only child?
No, yeah.
No, you have a brother. You did a podcast with your brother. What am I saying?
My brother Cullen is 2 years younger than me, and then my sister's 6 years younger than me. But what
am I even saying? Holy crap! Yeah.
Yeah. Cullen hasn't been around in a little bit. He's.
Well, I was gonna say.
No, he's. He's still around. He's still here.
You literally just talk about your sister, and I'm asking if you're your only child. Let me go get my Red Bull. Let me go do that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think, because now that we're grown up, we're adults, and we're either dads or uncles or whatever we find ourselves in. I think back to when I was a kid, and I think back to my uncles, and there were definitely some that were like, those are the ones, and they're the special ones. They're the ones that I have just like the greatest memories of, and like they still maintain kind of like that hero like status. The ones that like our dads lose eventually when we realize that they're just normal people, but like somehow like a special uncle's like, that dude he's the best. Like that's you doing Professor Smelly Bottoms. Like that's awesome, man. It takes something, I think, very special to like go out of your way, because it's very easy at family gatherings to just kind of like, I'll just grab a beer and sit on the couch or whatever. Somebody else is cooking or whatever, like, or you be that one for the kiddos. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I like they'd always be climbing up me or whatever, but to your point, like I had really a couple of uncles like that, and one in particular stood out that would again do anything. I remember like going back to like core memories, he dressed up. I had so my birthday's November 4th, so it was close-ish to Halloween that I got away with a Halloween costume party one year. And he came out, like I was dressed as Batman in this like, fairly shitty Batman costume that my mom probably made. But he came out in like this movie accurate, crazy costume that must have cost him like a couple of $100 to rent the damn thing. And like he came flying out of, I think, our treehouse, and like across the yard, and the cape's flowing and stuff. And it was like, holy shit, Batman's at my party. And like, I figured out pretty quickly, like it was him, but like, it was still kind of like, I think that kind of made it better, because it wasn't like this magical Batman Santa Claus mystery kind of thing. It was like, I have an uncle who's cool enough to do that.
Yeah,
and
man.
It was the same uncle that would do like Nerf gun fights, or just come over randomly with like a couple of not Nerf guns, like dart guns, like the more generic, like the sticky darts, and just like literally like roofing tar buckets. You know, the buckets that like stuff comes in, like the giant white buckets that you can get it. So he'd come with those filled with those sticky darts and just be like, here's some guns, let's go nuts. And like, like that kind of like 100% just like, yeah, I want to be that one. Let's be that one.
Totally. And the thing is, like, it's actually such a win-win. Like, it's more fun to do that, I think so anyways. And it's also like such a good moment for the kids as well. But I think it's hard to think of that, like to be that creative. And maybe some people like forget how to have fun like that. I don't know. Like, why isn't that the norm? Kids are around, like, let's dress up like Batman. Like, what the heck? Let's do that more. That sounds great.
Yeah.
You're very spontaneous and you're very creative as well. Like, you can just like, okay, now, like, I think maybe that's how you got into podcasting as well. It's just like, that's very much who you are, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been more of a creative minded person for sure. So that definitely helps. And like into just, you know, the typical nerdy stuff of more, you know, like theater rather than sports or music or whatever, that it just leads to that kind of like creativity. So you need a creative outlet, whether it's podcasting or pretending to be a superhero with kids or swinging a lightsaber around. And that, like, when my sister's kids or my sister's kids, like frig, like they're not related to me. When my nephews come home this summer, Jesus Christ, I'm like, I want to buy like a couple of like lightsabers and stuff that are like the ones you can duel with, and just like teach them to duel without permanently damaging either one of them, or like, but like, you know, like teach them like some sword fighting kind of stuff. And like, I can't wait for that. Like that's the stuff that I plan ahead and I want to do. It's fun.
Where are you at with Star Wars these days? Are we okay in Star Wars land? How are you doing, man?
Star Wars. It's funny. It's like, there's always something going on in Star Wars. And I don't know how closely you pay attention to any Star Wars news or stuff that's going on, but like, it seemed kind of cool for a bit with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Everyone was like super happy with how that was, and especially how it ended. It's such an epic show. And then a couple of days ago, there's this like puppet apparently on like YouTube and TikTok and whatever, kind of like Arlo does for video games and Nintendo and stuff. There's this, I can't even remember his name because I don't follow him, but apparently he was like super positive kind of thing. And then he just starts coming out with this weird, like homophobic, transphobic, racist shit or something. I haven't seen any of the videos, but I've been seeing and hearing a lot of the discourse, and it's just like, that's disappointing. We were doing really well for a bit. Like,
yeah,
Star
what
Wars
the heck?
It's so weird. I hate it.
So is that's the environment,
and that's the environment.
Kind of just like that's what we're left with because there's nothing else.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so with me, I like doing video game podcasts for so long. It was really cool to jump into Holocron Chronicles with Charlie, and to start talking about Star Wars, because it's something I've always loved since. Again, like going back to the fun uncles. So this was my fun aunt who got me into Star Wars and like was the nerd aunt, right? Like introduced me to the movies, and actually ran into her tonight. So that's kind of
oh, look at that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so it's like it's really cool to branch off and do something different and talk about like another passion kind of thing. Cause I find like, and I think you're probably the same way of like, you've been talking about video games for so long on the internet that you probably feel like that's the only thing people associate with you.
Yeah.
And
or Xbox, dude. I said, I think it was in the Discord. I was talking in our PlayStation Drive thing about the new PlayStation Stars thing. It's like this rewards kind of thing. And I'm like, I like it. I think it actually it looks a lot like what Xbox is doing. But I think I like the branding better than what Xbox is doing. And I think Grouchy said, are you legally allowed to have that opinion? I'm like, I don't know. And I know he's joking, but like, that's a thing. Like, it comes, I guess, just with the territory, I guess. But you kind of, every now and then, I just kind of wish I could go like, you should see the stuff PlayStation Canada sends me stuff too, you guys. Like, it's not like there's no, I don't know. I'm too like free flowing. And if there was any sort of like preference that I had one way or another, like I'm not going to be swayed one way or another. I'm just like, whatever I'm saying is like, it is what it is. But I think that this show and maybe some of the other kind of like spin-off stuff that we do in the Patreon is like, I think just a sign that I need more than just what's in the news, what you playing kind of thing. And I think that's kind of what you're getting around to here with like, maybe we'll do a little of this Star Wars thing. But what I want to ask you about that though is, doesn't that seem even more pigeonholed? Like, isn't that less? And I guess maybe things have expanded since you started, or how do you deal with such a singular topic in an ongoing podcast?
I wondered that when we started.
Yeah.
And so the way Charlie came up with the idea to do a Star Wars podcast, because, you know, the Secret Friends network kind of thing, when I came on with co-op mode with Todd and talking about video games, like I pitched that one. And that was originally pitched as like a segment within Secret Friends Unite, because Warp Whistle kind of fell apart. And I was like, I still have all this podcasting gear and I still have things in my head that I'd like to get out. And that, like you said before, like that creative outlet that you need. I was like, I'm not quite ready to not podcast. So I was kind of looking for something. And I said, okay, what do I like, or who do I like that's not doing video game stuff? Mm-hmm. And if you listen to Secret Friends Unite, Charlie hates video game talk, just like Todd hates cosplay talk, and they don't really talk. That doesn't go on in their show because they
and the verdict is still out if Todd likes video games. We're really not sure.
Sure, yes,
I'm just kidding.
Sometimes, but so that's kind of how I pitch it. Is like, you know, like Todd, if you want to jump in with me, or I can just kind of rant by myself, like, you know, like for 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. And it can be a segment and you guys can just edit it in and I'll just record it and send it to you. Just give me a date. And if you want to come in, we can both talk about something, but we'll keep it at 10 or whatever many minutes you guys want. We tried that like once, and then Todd was like, this is garbage. We're going to do our own show. So that one worked out really well. But when Charlie came at me with the Star Wars idea, he wanted to do like what's new every week in canon, specifically stick to like detailed breakdowns of books or movies or TV shows or whatever. And I wasn't a huge fan of that idea because that's not how my brain works. I don't
structured and like, is that what you mean?
Yeah. I mean, I did book reports and stuff in school. I did an English major for like one of my majors, and in university, and it was just I don't want to get back into that. That feels like a job to me. That feels like work.
Yep.
I'll do a breakdown of a show. Like we just broke down all the Obi-Wan shows as they went through, and that, but it wasn't like deep. It was like, what's your favorite scene? What was your favorite character? What's a cool moment for you? Where do you think we're going next?
Totally.
Cool. That's great. So the big thing for me is talking to the community, kind of like what you do here. And that's what keeps it interesting for me, because there's always, again, after doing video games for so long, I'm meeting so many new people on the Star Wars side of things that it's like between Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, there just seems to be like this wave of new people that I meet every week. And it's great. And it's overwhelming. I have the show booked up into October right now.
Oh snap! Look at you, dude. You're farther out than this show. Holy crap!
Yeah, it's wild, and it's so that keeps me occupied. And also, there's a lot of Star Wars content. So we've done movie recaps. We've paused those to do like show recaps. We've done books. We've done comics. And when stuff runs out, we can do something like when Joseph Moran was on, and just talk about lightsabers. And just like,
nice.
It was literally just an hour of like, hey, how fucking cool are lightsabers?
They really are. They totally are. They're amazing.
Was the whole show. And it was, that one sucked for audio because Joe kept showing off his lightsaber collection. Most people won't realize this. Joseph Moran is a massive Star Wars geek with an insane, and when I say insane, I mean absolutely mind-blowingly insane lightsaber collection.
That's awesome.
It's crazy.
And, I love the notion of a lightsaber collection. Like, it's so good.
Crap, man. And he's going through and he's like, this is Sidious's, this is Yoda's, here's Anakin's, here's this. And this, it was like, just, it's wild. Like, it's so good. And so there's that kind of stuff. And we can just go like, early on, I think we talked like just about Jedi and like, are the Jedi a failure? Are they good? Are they ultimately like the bad guys? Or like, is it well-intentioned so they're good, but they really like kind of lost themselves along? It's just that kind of stuff, right? So you think within, you say Star Wars, and it's like, is that kind of limiting? So far, no. When it gets limiting,
it's a galaxy,
something else. But that's the nice thing with like Disney owning Star Wars now. It's not 30 years between movies. It's like getting the Andor series in 49 days.
Oh,
Bad Batch is starting soon. So like between live action, Disney Plus, animated stuff, movies.
And are you like on everything? Like, so this is kind of like a dual question in that like you're doing the podcast, obviously, but like even without it, would you be day one anyways? Like all the stuff, like there's so much, especially just coming out of Disney in general, whether it's Marvel or Star Wars or whatever. Like, are you able to keep up with all of that stuff? Like, it seems like a lot.
No, without the show. Because of the show, I focus on Star Wars.
Yeah.
So if the new, like Obi-Wan's a great example because I also love Marvel. So that's something that the MCU, I was talking to a friend of mine today that we were talking about MCU movies, and she was talking like she skipped a few and she like never saw, it was like Winter Soldier, but she saw mostly there. And I was like,
you don't skip that one.
Like, come on.
Gosh.
And but like so obviously for the podcast, I will focus on Star Wars, and with young kids, your window for like doing the adult shit that you want to do when I'm not watching Bluey, Paw Patrol, or the Mickey Mouse freaking
sweet though.
Bluey is the best PD show. I would start a Bluey podcast in an instant. Let's do this,
dude. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Layers. It is so good, and season 3 is hitting Disney Plus in August.
Lincoln was just telling me that actually. We were talking about it just tonight.
This is what I'm talking about before. Like your kids telling you news.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even, it didn't even occur. It didn't really like hit me like that because Chelsea said like, she said, "Hey Lincoln, like when are the new Bluey episodes coming?" And he just like lit up. He's like, "Dad, I had to tell you something." He comes up and he's just like really excited. Like, there's new Bluey episodes coming. I'm like, man, that is the best. So man, cool. Look at that.
Your kid told you news.
That might be the first time. That might actually be the first time. I feel like I almost need to ask Chelsea about this. That must be it.
Yeah, that is wild, man.
And especially about like maybe it's just because I actually like Bluey. Like if you told me something like Blippy, like Blippy can just be deleted. Like just I
haven't gotten.
Don't even
heard some bad stuff, or some just the parents going nuts. But Bluey, man,
Bluey's the best. Mm-hmm.
Season 2, episode 9. If you don't choke up a little bit watching that episode, you're a little bit dead. I know. If you know,
I know the one. Yeah. It's funny because I almost wanted to like humble brag to Lincoln. I almost wanted to tell him like, okay, so like, what country are those guys from? And I don't even know if like the show is based in Australia, but like the voice actors are. So we got talking about Australia, and I almost wanted to like humble brag to him and say like, Daddy has some friends in Australia, like I really like true actors down there. He's a cool dude. Like he doesn't care, man. But I was like that close.
Do like a dad impression or something, or like
exactly.
Just get him on.
We have a bunch of Bluey. Like we got Lincoln has a Bluey, and Ellie has a Bingo little stuffy, and Bluey's good stuff, man. That's the magic when you can find something that like you actually enjoy. Like at the very least, if you can tolerate it, then you're golden. But if you actually like it, oh my gosh, man. And that's what it's all about.
That's another thing. Like I try to be interested, like genuinely interested in what he's watching, but like some stuff is so much easier. Like Bluey's great. I've even I got into Paw Patrol so much that I started looking up fan fiction for Paw Patrol because I accidentally came across Paw Patrol fan fiction because I wanted to know how all the other pups joined the team, because we got a book that kind of talked, and I think it was covered in the movie maybe, holy shit, I'm talking about Paw Patrol movies and stuff.
Look at this.
But like, it was, like, so how did Ryder find Chase? And then I think we saw Rubble. But like, I wanted to know, like, did I just miss the episodes? Like, how did Rocky get on the team? Because I love Rocky. Rocky and Zuma are so underrated. I haven't watched
any. The kids aren't into. My kids aren't into Paw Patrol at all. That's why we missed it.
The worst thing I ever did for Paw Patrol was I looked up someone. Okay, so I'm not as bad as the person that made this, because someone made an Excel sheet with how many missions each Paw Patrol person or dog or whatever went on, and how the show and Ryder are biased towards Chase, the police dog kind of thing. And like, Chase and Marshall were like so high up, and poor little Zuma like is the Aquaman of the group, like the water dog. Aww. He's just like, yeah, we'll call you when we need you, fish boy. Like, go take a lap. I don't know. Like, dang. It's just, come on, Zuma, you deserve better.
It's kind of like Lisa on The Simpsons. It was like, you could see like back in the day, like they would kind of rotate. Okay, this is a Homer episode, this is a Bart episode, and like, oh, Lisa episode. Yeah. Like, exactly. Come on, man. It's so boring.
Anyway, yeah. So back to the original point there. We took a good tangent, and I admitted.
Yeah, we were talking about Star Wars for a second there. We were talking about cool stuff.
Circling back to so trying to keep up to stuff. It was a good example. While Obi-Wan was, I had no attention span for like Miss Marvel. Yeah. And I ended up binge watching most of Miss Marvel over the weekend. My wife went to bed early, and I like blew through Miss Marvel right towards right to the end, and then got ready for the finale that just happened this past week. And I love that show. Holy crap. What a great show.
I trust your opinion on this, and I need to tell you, like, I actually don't even remember if I can tell you the last time a show was coming up on like Netflix or something on a weekly basis where I was like, I couldn't wait. Like, I really believe this when I say this. I think Obi-Wan was the first one. Like probably since not streaming like Lost or 24 or something like that. Like back in I don't even like, I think I even watched Breaking Bad and Mad Men on like DVD box sets and things like that. So I binged those. But like, I haven't had a show like demand my attention. Like I wake up in the morning, I'm like, it's Wednesday. Like, let's go. I'm going to watch this thing. And so it was great. I loved it. I don't subscribe to any of the issues that anybody has with that. Like, you're fair, whatever, you have your opinion. But the show ends, and I don't know how to describe the void in my life right now, Mark. Like, I feel like I need to find like a rebound, but like that just sounds shallow and unfulfilling. I just don't think that's going to quite cut it. But I've been on the lookout, man. I'm like, I need my new every Wednesday or whatever. I need that show, man.
And now it was such a weird overlap because they didn't really give it time to breathe. Like, right now would be a great time to start Miss Marvel. Like if Disney Plus started it, because there was that weird overlap, and it was like, for me anyway, it was like, do I watch Obi-Wan or Miss Marvel? I have to choose Obi-Wan for the podcast. Yeah. So like I said, I had to kind of binge and catch up to Miss Marvel, and I thought it was delightful. And I'm in the same kind of thing, but luckily I've also fallen behind on a ton of other stuff. So I have to catch up on Stranger Things. I have to catch up on The Boys.
I've never watched any of those, actually.
Like no season whatsoever?
I'm telling you, man, like TV, like just, I couldn't keep up. Like once I started to fall behind, I just like, I guess I just quit TV, like quote unquote TV kind of stuff. Yeah. Like, and I know that I'm the odd person out on this. Most people appreciate right now is like the golden era of TV is the best. They'd rather watch TV than movies. Like movies are trash. That's where we are in the world. And for whatever reason, I kind of fell off, but I don't know. It's hard to ignore it. Everybody's talking about this stuff. So I don't know how much longer I can do it, especially as much as I enjoyed the like looking forward to a new episode of a thing.
It's tough, man. I find even as I'm saying, like I caught up on Miss Marvel and I want to catch up on The Boys and Stranger Things, I know that's going to sacrifice my video game time.
Yeah.
So I haven't played I play Fortnite pretty regularly with my nephew that lives in Alberta. And that's how we connect. I don't, when I FaceTime my sister, the young one's sometimes around, but Jensen's usually off doing something or whatever. And he comes home at night and he plays Fortnite. So I'll log in and that's how I talk to him. But haven't played, like I log in the morning basically before work, like just to see what's new and like to get my like daily login kind of thing to get the free V-Bucks and save the world mode. Aside from that, like I really haven't been playing in a few weeks because I've been so caught up in these TV shows. So I'm not only missing just like straight up video game time, but I'm also missing that chat with my nephew. So I got to like correct that. But that also means like I am not going to catch up on The Boys anytime soon. I might not catch up on Stranger Things anytime soon if I go back to playing video games on a regular basis. And if you listen to the last episode of Co-op Mode, like I played one game that was Spider Swords from Way Forward because they sent me a code and I felt like I really had to play it, and it was on Switch so I could play it while I was doing some other shit. And the Switch is great for that, but I don't play like Fall Guys or Fortnite or anything usually.
You gotta play Fall Guys with us, man. Fall Guys is fun.
I love Fall Guys. I love it, but I always play it on my Xbox because I find the Switch moves at like 4 frames per second.
I haven't even tried it. I've heard that, and I haven't even installed it. Yeah.
But it's so good on the Xbox. But again, like I haven't logged into Fall Guys probably in a couple of weeks. Aside from like logging in and doing like one round and being like, oh, maybe I'll get the Assassin's Creed skin and like, whatever.
It's pretty sweet. I feel like that still counts though. Like I haven't played in a couple of weeks, except for my dailies. Like that's kind of the design of the game, I think, actually.
With Fortnite, it's different. I don't even have to play around. Like when I'm saying dailies, I mean like literally daily logins. So like for Save the World mode in Fortnite,
oh my gosh,
you literally just go to the title screen and you press Y, and each day it gives you something different. And then usually at the end of the week, it gives you like V-Bucks. So I get a bunch of free V-Bucks, right? Like this week I'm coming 300 free V-Bucks. It's like, whoa, $3 for free. Cool. Thank you. But it's literally like I log in every morning, I press Y, and then I eat my breakfast and go to work. Like that is the extent of it. And so Fall Guys definitely a little different to do dailies and stuff. But it's tough, man. It's tough. That balance is hard. And I feel like I kind of hit that a while ago with TV. So now I feel like I'm kind of catching up on that with like getting into Star Wars and getting more into like MCU shows and that kind of stuff. Whereas before, like I remember with like Game of Thrones and Walking Dead and all that kind of stuff that was out a few years ago that everyone was talking about, I was like, no, I'd rather spend my free time playing video games. Like, it was because again, like if my wife's not interested while we're both awake, we're watching something that we both want, or doing something that we both want to do, playing games that we both want to play. So like I have that, if I stay up late, like on a night like this, I'm either podcasting or I'm watching or playing something that I want to do. And that's my time. But it's pick and choose carefully. Right. Like, you gotta that balance. And it's, I gave up TV for a long ass time to focus on video games, and now I'm finding it's kind of the opposite. So sorry, Todd, if you're listening. Like I haven't been pulling my weight playing video games. I got Spider Swords, and I'll have to get back into some other stuff. But
I feel like that's a lot of people this year, though, Mark. I think like there's something weird happening in gaming right now, and I don't know that it like some people just play games all the time, but I do think that some people are having a hard time kind of locking in on something. And I don't know exactly. Maybe it is just a lot of other things are at their best and it kind of like pulls you away. I'm not exactly sure, but that seems to be a trend, I guess. And I recognize that a lot. Like even just from an energy standpoint, like you're just like, what are you going to do? Like you're sitting in the exact same chair, whether you're going to play a game or watch TV. And yet somehow I don't know, maybe it's a dopamine thing. Like something is happening in my brain where I'm like, I'm just going to let the TV do its thing at me instead. Like what? Like
video games it's not as passive as TV. I mean, like you said, you're in the same chair, you're staring at the same screen, but like video games, there's a reason why it's called esports. Like it's taxing, especially if you're doing something competitive. Like I wear an Apple Watch. I have statistical or graphable proof that my heart rate changes while I'm playing Fortnite.
I've never actually even checked that. I should totally check that.
If you're top 3 or something like that, like my heart rate's going. I can feel it. I can feel my pulse racing. I can feel the adrenaline start to build up. Like, okay, there's 3 people left. You got to take them out before they take you out. Let's go. Yeah. It's not quite as intense in like something like Fall Guys until you get to that last stage and there's like, 2 of you running on the same crazy rolling pin with the beehive places falling out for some. Fall Guys is a weird game. As I'm saying that,
we've broken it down like this before.
But you still like there is that intensity and you're actively doing something. So I guess there's probably a really good, you'll have to get someone smarter than me on the show to really break down the psychology behind this. But like maybe after the last couple of years of like living through a pandemic and now kind of living through a weird recession, hellscape, rate increase, lack of supplies everywhere and whatever, maybe we just want something more passive. Maybe we want to just sit there and let the TV tell us a story rather than participate in a story. And video games can be great escapism, but it's still active.
It's funny because I think the last couple of games that I have really gotten into, oh man, I'm going to get myself in trouble. I can't talk. Damn it. I hate Life is Strange is actually the one that I'm allowed to talk about it, but it's such a passive experience. You walk around, the story is kind of like mostly told to you with some form of agency in it. And that's kind of what I'm after right now. And I don't know if it's the storytelling, if it's the casual nature of it. I don't know. That's something that I definitely acknowledge, but where my mind is actually going on this thing is like, games are so complicated now. And I feel so old saying that, where I just wanted games to get more complex and realistic and whatever, real life. And all of a sudden I'm like, enough is enough. I need and I don't even have a manual anymore. Like I don't even have like the 50-page documentation to like learn how to play this thing. I better, if I don't read that screen that pops up to tell me how to like parry properly or whatever, like I've missed it and I can't play the game and it's not a good time for me. And this is as ancient as I've ever felt talking about video games, to be honest with you, because it's like, do we still need another skill tree? Does every game need RPG elements? My God, man.
And I think, honestly, I think that's the draw lately. Like, I was scared when they first announced Fall Guys was going to hit the other consoles. I was like, I'm worried that game's day in the sun is gone. It hit
a lot of people thought that for
PlayStation. Sure. Is it going to recapture that? And I think it has. And you're seeing games like that and like Ninja Turtles that you can literally throw a controller at a monkey and they can figure out a couple of buttons. And like with Ninja Turtles, there's a little bit more complexity if you want to get into some of like the combos, dodging, all that kind of shit. But like, I'm pretty sure I could hand my dad a controller who hasn't played games since like the original NES, maybe that'll dabble into Super Nintendo, and like he could figure out Ninja Turtles. And I literally tried this with Fall Guys, like gave my wife the controller, and she's good at video games, don't get me wrong, but like literally handed it as it was doing 3, 2, 1 go, and was just like,
she gets it.
And she was just like, okay, this is go. And I was like, yep, jump is the only other button you need. Like, we'll get in grabbing the walls if you come across it.
Hugging people.
No. She just, that was it. And she ran to the, at the end of the stage and she was like, what is this? And how do I get it? And we downloaded it on her Switch and
like
put it together. It's great. But like, there's something about those super simple games that you are seeing that. There was so much hype behind Ninja Turtles. There was so much hype behind Fall Guys. I said the same thing about Spider Swords on like that game's it's brutally tough. It's like the old Conquer games, like super tough, but it's very easy to understand. So I kind of I was like, oh yeah, I like this. I get this. This is cool.
Well, give me a couple things to master. Give me a couple elements of the game to like totally master. One of my favorite games, as it turns out, and do you ever feel weird about like declaring one of your favorite games of all time when it's like somewhat new? Like it's not in like the NES era. Like how old should a game be? Actually, why don't I just ask you this? Like how old does a game have to be for you to feel comfortable declaring it as one of your favorite games of all time?
I struggle with this so much because anytime I want to say Breath of the Wild, I still feel like I should be saying some pretentious friggin' Super Nintendo game.
Yeah.
That I'm like, this game's a masterpiece. You will never get any better than the 16-bit artwork and the soundtrack. Yeah. And it has to be played on the original hardware because emulators just don't, like, shut up. No, a new game can be that. It can be the best. And so I struggle with this 100%. I am bad for it. And, but Breath of the Wild kind of changed that because everyone agreed. They were like instantly like, this is one of the best games of all time. And it was like, oh, we can agree on this now. Cool.
Yeah. Isn't that the best? And that's just it. Like you're playing it and you're into it and you're like, it's obviously it's a new Switch. Everything's like, you're like, oh, they didn't screw this up. Hang on a second. Is this the best game ever made? Is this, and that happened a lot, and then all of a sudden you got like one person connecting with another person and saying like, I think we can say that, and then everybody's like, that's what I think it's totally the best game ever made, and then the haters ignited as well. Totally, like is it too new? And I think this happens kind of all the time. Like for me, like God of War comes to mind. God of War 2018 comes to mind as like, am I allowed to say, like, should I wait on this a little bit longer? Like, I don't know. Is it like a classic rock kind of thing? Is it a artful masterpiece? I don't know. But like, yeah, can something be like just an instant classic? I guess that probably is maybe a criteria of what makes a 10 if you're going to have like ratings on games or whatnot. Like, could you imagine this being like one of the best games ever in 5 years? Can you fast forward if that's even possible to do? Yeah.
And it's so tough. Is it an instant classic? That's such a great question, because it's so hard to go back, and there's a lot of games that you feel in the time. It's like, oh yeah, this is the best game ever made, and it's like maybe like Turok 64 is not the best game ever made. Mark, like, calm down a little.
Why Turok? Like, why did that come
I don't know. I have no idea.
So
honestly, it was the first like borderline shit game that I kind of loved.
Good. But it was so adult. It was so like still not like you hadn't really seen anything like it.
Called the Cerebral Bore. How pretentious sounding is that shit? That ate a dinosaur's brain and spit it out like you open the top of a blender. And
was that in the first one or just the second one? I can't remember.
I want to say the second one.
Dude, the when the 64 came out, that's when I was really starting to get into PC gaming, and I had my PC Gamer magazine. I was learning all like the technical specs, and you know, the advertisements in video game magazines. Like, if you ever wondered why a bunch of us turned out to be just a bunch of douchebags to each other, it's like I'm telling you, we were impressionable like 13-year-old kids with these extreme, you know, John Romero's gonna make you his bitch advertisements for Daikatana or whatever it was. Like that was a real thing. So I was quite adversarial with neighbor Matt at the N64 days, because he's getting all excited about Turok and GoldenEye, which I love playing, but I'm like, Half-Life is way better than these games because the AI is so much better, and look at this resolution. Like, I was such a dinkus, man. Like in those days, it's just ridiculous.
I mean, it still goes on. Come on, is it still the console wars or like PC master race?
I know, dude. I can't even bring myself to say it. It's just like, really, like with everything that everybody's got a problem with these days, we're just fine with like master race. Like, good God,
yeah, it's pretty not okay.
I think I was saying to Ryan, I'm like, I'm going to call it the PC fun team. I just want to like totally PG this.
I might adopt that with you.
I feel like I was inspired by you creating names for things like the super. Wait, was it Super Switch or Super Xbox? You were calling for the.
I just want someone to name something super again. I don't know. How do you top the Nintendo? Super Nintendo. That's so obvious. I just want it to happen again. How do you top
Super Wii would have been way better than the Wii U.
Everyone is like, Switch Pro? Nah. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, you got the alliteration. You're just waiting for it.
MacBook Pro, iPhone Pro.
Oh my gosh.
Who gives a shit? Nah. Super Switch is where it is.
Super Switch.
That's it. And I wanted them to do, because they already spun themselves in a circle with Xbox 360, and then they went back to square one with Xbox One. Where are you going to go next?
Dude, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, Super Xbox. That's where you go.
Super. Oh, right. How could I forget?
That's horse manure my friend. It's just get that shenanigans out of here. I love an
Oh
Xbox.
my gosh.
That is my favorite console right now. But
oh yeah,
Series. I've been such an Xbox fan. I love their controller.
same. Yeah,
that's it. I've had the PlayStation 4 experience, and I've tried the PlayStation 5. I can't get the thumbsticks on the.
Yeah, I don't like them.
They have to. I want the dog with the wonky eyes, not the dog with the eyes.
Same here, man. But of course I would say that.
Right. Of course. Yeah, you have to.
Freaking chill.
Yeah. Every time you say
I'm on the payroll, so yeah exactly.
For me, I'm not, so I can say that with 100% truthisms, and just go from there. But I love the Xbox, man. It's so great. It's snappy. I feel like Xbox, they need to get some of their first party stuff sorted out, but like Game Pass and the general mindset I find of Phil and a lot of the team there is just doing the right stuff, I guess. But, that's
well, I've got this upgrade on PC coming here, and as much as that seems like I would be getting out of Xbox land, what did I just do? I'm going to load it up here. If I asked for some advice from friends to like what game should I play on this new monitor that apparently isn't coming, and I'm like losing hair in my battle with Amazon this week. It's been not fun. I don't even know how many of these games there are. I have installed a tremendous number of games from PC Game Pass, and I got Aliens, Fireteam Elite, Chorus, Death's Door, Far Cry 5, FIFA 22, Forza Horizon 5, Gears 5, Halo Infinite, Halo Master Chief Collection, Hyperdot, shout out to Hyperdot, Jurassic World Evolution, Mech Warrior 5, Minecraft, No Man's Sky, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, Project Wingman, Star Wars Squadrons, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, and Tetris Effect Connected. I am loaded up, dude. I didn't pay for any of those. That's Game Pass.
Amazing.
That's just Game Pass.
Amazing. That's
on my freaking PC.
So great. So great.
I'm just gonna like order some takeout.
Yep.
Not leave this room. I'll shower eventually, and hopefully send regards to my family, I guess, because
you can only shower when the neighbors make a complaint about the dead body. They call.
That's true.
Yeah, they call people. I think there's someone dead over.
Well, I actually have a shower right here. I have everything I need. Like it's it's a basement room, but like there's a shower here. If I got my clothes, like I can. This is. People don't understand how much time I spend in this room, Mark. Like it is an exceptional amount of time. That's why I'm like I'm gonna make it look nice.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man.
Fantastic.
Do you have any like what I'm always curious, and especially because we haven't had a chat in a little while. Like how have you been doing? Like what's on your mind these days, man? Like how are you?
I'm good overall. Yeah. Pretty happy. Like like I said, being a dad is just like the best. So I enjoy every single second of that. And I love summers in Cape Breton. So that's always fun. I mentioned, tonight we were talking about scheduling and stuff. And I mentioned, waking up tomorrow and my wife's got some stuff to do in the morning. And then we're off to the cottage and getting the boats and the sea-doos and stuff in the water. Speaking of my fun uncle. Hell yeah, he's got the fun
toys.
Nice. Same one with the fun toys now. So it's still whether it's dart guns or sea-doos. I'm still playing with his awesome stuff. It's great, man. I'm just I'm relaxed. Work's good.
You seem happy, man. You seem like just totally you're good. And like
there's always things you can always,
of course
you hit a new whatever pay grade at work or they're but there's always like, oh, well, what else could I do? Or like, you kind of get that like, okay, well, what's next kind of thing. But, or like I said, you buy a house for, pretty decent amount of money. And then it's like, well, we kind of also need this, and this fixed. And, I've got to do some foundation repairs and they're not,
oh no!
At all. Yeah, that's fun. So I could probably complain about some stuff, but
sure, yeah.
I want to just be positive and enjoy the family time because the last few years have been rough too.
Yeah, man.
With COVID and right before COVID, I lost 3 grandparents in very quick succession in about a 9-month span. So that sucked. And and then I lost the last one. We started getting through COVID, and he passed away just before Christmas last year. And then a year ago, let's say the 16th. So a year ago on the 12th, we had to give up our dog. I remember talking to you about that. Mm-hmm. So, and then my parents' dog passed away about a month or two ago. And that was like my dog when I just kind of, the few years before I moved out. Yeah. So there's been some stuff, and I could focus on that. And I mean, there's still those moments of that kind of thing. Like the cottage I'm going to tomorrow is, that was my grandparents' place. So every time you go out there, it's like that kind of, it's like that bittersweet kind of thing.
Totally bittersweet. The fact that obviously it's sad that they're no longer here, but like how special that remains, that like persists and survives, that, beyond and still to bring the people together to the place. Like, that's awesome. That is something not everybody has, and in a lot of cases when there's like family property, it's like, man, that's just can sometimes just be asking for a disaster. So if none of that is happening, if this thing is, serving this purpose to bring you guys together and remind you of the people that were once there and who were there with you, that's special, man. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're spot on. It's, you go there and it's a reminder of like, they're not here, but also like kind of cool of like, they built this kind of thing for us. So it's cool, man. It's, I was thinking of so I don't know. I keep designing like tattoos and like getting tattoos recently. So the last couple of years I got like 3 tattoos, which probably doesn't sound like a lot to someone who got a lot, but
I don't have any. I'd love to get tattoos.
Yeah. So
what was the first one?
This shark on my arm.
Okay.
For anyone not watching the video, there's a little like cartoony looking shark on my arm.
It's a sweet shark.
So I wanted a permanent dad joke. And so I got this after Finn was born. So now I always have a little Finn on me.
Oh, dude, I've been trying to think of like if I'm gonna get tattooed, I'm like, I don't know what's meaningful enough to like, put on my body forever, but like kids come to mind. Yeah, man.
Yeah. You could do, there's so many like minimalist tattoos that you could do, even like simple line work or something for Link and Ellie, that you could get like the Triforce with the Master Sword kind of going through it or behind it or whatever for Link. And then,
and then just death and revenge and zombies across my entire back.
That's it. 100%. Yeah.
Like a clicker head on my back.
I love minimalist tattoos, and I've been looking into those, and I was like thinking about some stuff from my grandparents of like tiny little things that I could get to kind of
that's cool.
Put them somewhere on me. But I took a break, so I got like my first like super like meaningful, even though it was like a dad joke, but I got my first meaningful one, and then I was like, well, the meaningful stuff's out of the way, so I might as well get like a Jedi symbol and a Nidoran.
Nidoran of all the Pokemon, why Nidoran?
I've always loved Nidoran and Nidoking. It's like my favorite Pokemon.
Wow.
Just from like Gen 1, Blue. I started with Charmander, who's also one of my favorite all-time, Charmander to Charizard. But and this Nidoking, so I'm like playing it off as like a dumb Pokemon tattoo, but I do have a little chip out of this Nidoran's ear just right here. So when we were growing up, we had a pet rabbit who had a chip out of his ear, and his name was Chip, because we were super creative kids. And when I first got Pokemon Blue, I found one of these things, and it looked kind of like this weird spiky rabbit because the graphics on Game Boy kind of sucked. And I was like, cool, a spiky rabbit. I'll name that Chip and go.
Oh, that's cool.
So I always had this Nidoran named Chip on my team. And then kind of more in the more recent games, I started nicknaming them because like originally you're playing it, you don't know that it turns into Nidoking.
Right.
So, like, you can't plan out a nickname, but then after the nickname it was like, after I knew the evolutions in more modern games, it was like, okay, I'm going to call it Elvis because it's the king. But then, it's like, dumb. So I've gone back.
What else could you possibly call it? Like, duh.
But I've gone back to naming them Chip anytime I catch them now. And so I was like thinking of different tattoos to get, and that one came up because one of the artists that the same artist did a tattoo for my wife, which was a script from her father and he passed away just after we started dating. And so it was like a script that he wrote her on a card, and she has that on her arm, like perfectly recreated. But so like I've been following her on Instagram since, and aside from like sweet things like that, she loves like pop culture, like Animal Crossing and Pokemon. So I was like, okay, I have like a weird kind of sweet, but like also super dumb, like Nidoran tattoo idea. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. So yeah,
that's awesome.
That's fun. It's like, yeah. So like the outline of Nido King is behind Nidoran. So you can kind of see like,
it's so good
growth potential there. And you don't know what you're going to live up to. But I also just kind of wanted to dedicate it to this sweet little rabbit that I had when I was a kid.
Oh, I love that. I love that shadow reminded me of like one of the best movie posters for one of the most hated movies of all time, where it shows Anakin as a kid and his shadow casts to Darth, and it's just like that might be one of the single greatest images. Like, so 100%. Smart for such a dumb movie. Yeah. Like, oh 100%. My gosh, that's totally what that evoked for me.
Phantom Menace gets a lot of shit. I personally like. It's not my favorite Star Wars movie.
I got to watch it again. Actually, I will say.
Like for me, like I love the Star Wars. Like they're all good. It's like pizza, right? Like you're not gonna have a bad pizza.
I'm totally with you on that. I'm with you.
But but I like there's some really cool parts in Phantom Menace that I always love. Still pod racing is just cool, so great. And then the duel of the fates, and it means so much to like they're dueling over Anakin's fate. And I've gone on like rants on the podcast about how the next movie goes into like, it starts off instantly showing you why Obi-Wan doesn't take over as Anakin's father. Like Qui-Gon kind of was like the father figure, and Obi-Wan was always just his brother. And he even says that in the end, you were my brother Anakin, right? Right before he roasts him like a marshmallow and cuts off all his limbs, or right after him. It's brutal, but he was always a brother. And Phantom Menace is so important to set that up. And you see in the second episode 2, they start off and they're like Thor and Loki, just like playing get help, or like trying to one up each other. Like one jumps out a window, the other's going to jump out a higher window. Like they're idiot brothers. And that lack of guidance kind of leads Anakin down the path. So like, I think, yes, there are definitely some things that I'd change in Phantom Menace, but like, I still think it's very important. So yeah.
I'm not even going to bring up the character that people want me to bring up with this. And, but recently I was not feeling well, and it's actually quite a few months ago. And for whatever reason, I'm like, I'm just going to watch some Star Wars. And I skipped episode 1. I went straight to episode 2. And I will tell you, this is really, because I was feeling so not good that I'm like, how bad, like whatever, just put something on. And I actually kind of liked it. Like and that's supposed to be the worst one, like of all of them. I think there's many a list out there that ranks that one as the absolute worst, and I didn't hate it. And I don't know if I just wasn't like clear in my head or what, or maybe I watched the last 3 and thought, well, maybe this whole thing isn't as what I cracked up to be, but I don't know, maybe something was happening. Right. But what I'm getting around to is maybe I should go back and watch the first movie, because I enjoyed the games. Actually, there's a lot of video games that surrounded that release, I remember, and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, maybe you know what I'm going to do actually, Mark, is I'm going to pair it up. What do you suggest? Should I watch it and then listen to you talk about it, or should I go listen to you break it down and then go watch it?
Oh, that's tough. I've never been presented with that before.
You have a particular influence on how people might, because I'm tempted to listen to you first, right, to kind of see what you have to say about it, and then go like kind of have that appreciation for it. Although I don't want you to like take me too far. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think we do dives that are too deep that you won't like. I think the whole kind of crux of the show is like looking at the good stuff in the Star Wars movies. So even if it's people's most hated movie, like I find someone who likes that movie or likes something. I think for that one we got my friend Robby on there, who's a huge Darth Maul fan. And we talk about that significance of Darth Maul and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and everything there, and focus on kind of like tiny bit longer version of what I just said a couple minutes ago. But I guess, yeah, you could maybe listen to what we loved about it and then watch it through those lens of like trying to find something you love. I hate that kind of pressure.
For the thing you've already recorded and it's kind of out there.
So I've never thought.
And I could go either way, honestly. What I'm thinking as you're kind of walking this through is like, if I can actually, as best as I possibly can, keep an open mind. Like just watch it, try as if I haven't watched it before, which I haven't actually seen it in a very long time. That might be easier than I think. Then maybe I just do it that way. Try to keep an open mind, kind of like what I did with the second one.
Yeah.
You know, like definitely issues. I'm definitely not going as far to say like this is masterpiece material or anything, but I didn't hate it as much. And maybe I just wanted something different, or I've learned that there can be something else to Star Wars than what I was thinking at the time there should be.
So now you've got me thinking about this now. And I think,
look at us overthinking what should I do first? I need a decision tree. Like, of course I've done this.
Thinking about how we discussed the second movie, I think listening to our episodes might be, that sounds so weird to say. It's the same thing. Okay. For me, this is the same thing as like saying you have fans. And I think a lot of us struggle with that.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like if you're doing content creation, you're still kind of a smaller content creator or something like that. Saying you have fans just sounds so like, oh, I have fans, you know, like it's not, you have listeners, you have friends, you have the community, you have whatever. Right. And we find other ways to say it. And I don't know if that's a Canadian thing or like a humble nerd kind of, we don't want to be the braggy, boastful kind of thing, you know, that we grew up hating. Maybe it's a little bit of column A and column B and column
for sure
alphabet, but
Z.
Z. So for me, that this is giving off those same vibes of like me,
for sure.
Like, yeah, listen to us.
That's kind of why I wanted to ask you, because I didn't think that you had really thought of what you create as potentially like a companion kind of piece of entertainment or something that goes along with something else, which I love. It's almost like a watch along kind of thing. And that's why I think like spoiler casts are particularly fun to listen to if you manage to like beat a game. You're like, okay, who else is talking about this thing? And that was The Last of Us for me. Like on PS3, I remember beating that game, and I don't even know if it's happened since or beforehand. This is like such a moment where I beat the game and I'm like, I have got to consume something about this. I want to talk to somebody about this. Like who's talking? And I was actively seeking out like spoiler casts and whatever. And that was like right in the heyday of Podcast Beyond and things like that. And yeah, the notion of full on spoilers or some sort of companion conversation with something that you get really deep into. Like there's, as I'm saying this, we have how many podcasts in Carpool Gaming and we don't really have this? Like what are we doing, man? Like, shut it all down, burn it to the ground. We're starting it back up again. We're all just like consuming stuff, spoiling the crap out of it. Cause that's so fun.
You guys do so much. It's wild.
It's too much. It's weird. Like we are max, dude. It's enough.
It's amazing.
It's enough slices. Yeah.
It's amazing. I love it. And it's so varied. You always find the right people for the right things. And it just, everyone seems to just love and click what they're doing and how they're doing it. It's just, you guys are just such a wildly amazing example of how to do this network thing. And
I'm cutting off the compliments. I'm cutting them off. I will, and to be honest with you, like I have like as well, first, thank you. That was very rude of me to do. But one of the things that I honestly struggled with, and, you know, you and I have known each other for a long time, so it's like, well, I'd love to catch up in this way. But like, yeah, there's Ryan, Court, and Kato, and then we've got Matt and Garrett on all the shows. But it's like, I still feel like, and that's awesome. I'm really like happy with that. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to step over here to say, I still want to have like more people involved. Like the fact that like you and I don't do a thing, like how did this happen? Like and Todd and I mean, Babbitt and I kind of do something on for the Patreon as well. But like there's so many people, like Jason Lacey and I have been like this close to starting a podcast for like 2.5 years, man. And so it really is centers on just hanging out with the most amazing people on the planet. Honestly, like it's just such a amazing experience that we get to have this. I never would have been seeking it out 5, 6, however many years ago this has been. 7, gosh, it's actually been more than 6 years. Would have been the last thing I would have told you that I wanted was like a bunch of people from up around the planet to, I don't know, keep tabs with, or it like back then it would have sounded like an obligation. It would have sounded like work, and it's like totally the opposite, and now you can't get enough. And that, when I think about like having an open mind for things, I think about this journey big time. But yeah, like we do a lot, and somewhere in my stupid sick brain it's like, well, how is Mark not here too, and how is this person not here too? Like what the heck?
Do you think that's a you thing, or do you think that's a taking Bobby influence thing?
I think both, and I think that's why Bobby and I got along so well. I actually, well, to a certain, Bobby did it. I don't know. Bobby still wanted to do his thing big time. Bobby definitely, but he also recognized how much fun collaboration was, how important it was, how also, and probably even on top of all those things, like the importance of encouraging other people. For whatever reason, never seemed like he ever wanted anything back for it. But that's definitely something that I recognize. I see somebody like Kevin Ainsworth over at Project X Talk, and Andros and Micah at Nintendo Pals. And I just can't imagine, like I would love to see like Bobby get a hint of those guys and just give him a little like pat on the butt and just go like on the back and like just have at it, guys. Cause he sees potential, and like that's something maybe I'm trying to do, but I think it comes naturally. I don't feel like I'm going out of my way to do it, but it's nice and it's fun to do that. But yeah, Bobby still was still very Bobby. You know, him and I used to, even in the Make Us Better days when Bobby stepped away, and I kind of did a thing with like you and everybody else, like, you know, there was a whole bunch of people there, and Bobby and I would have conversations like, yeah, absolutely not. Like, right. So we definitely differed on that front. And to a certain extent, I think he was right on that. Like it's hard. I have this utopian vision of everybody gets together and it's all perfect, but like we're all very creative, and we all have things that we want to do, and we all have a way that we want to do it. And that can get complicated and complex. So yeah, sadly,
specifically with Make Us Better, it's so funny, like thinking back on that now, and like the vision, and like I got that, you know what I mean? And like I still feel that with stuff, and I still, it's in the same way, like I still feel and see like, oh, you know, these guys have a network over here, these guys have a network over here, like, you know, build that out kind of thing. And it's interesting to think about that now, a little bit, you know, removed from it, and seeing everyone kind of like go off in their own direction. I don't think anyone's worse off, you know, for how things happened and how things went down. Like some things happened that, you know, like the warp whistle's gone away. Like that was my brother, and that happened kind of in the middle of Make Us Better, which I don't think helped anything at all. But it's so like the vision was there kind of thing. Like I still understand that, and I still kind of like every once in a while I'll see something that like Todd and Charlie and I are doing, and I'll be like, but maybe we could do this, and I like have to rein it back in, because like it's such a big crazy kind of thing. But like you're right on, like there's so much more to it than just being like, hey, do you want to work together? Hey, do you want to work together? Cool.
Totally.
Like there's so much.
I look at that. I do look at that as, I don't think carpool gaming would be what it is without make us better kind of falling apart in the way that it did. Because I think that like, I think about me and like either things I said or what I did or whatever, like how I handled any of it. And I don't know that there was anything ever malicious ever, like, but I do think there's much more. I think there's more strategy now. I think there's a little bit more foresight now. And I think before it was just like, yeah, like you guys do your thing and we'll do our thing and everybody like that should be fine. And when we just stuffed more and more together, it didn't really work out. And so this time it seems like I'm definitely adjusting. And these are the things it's hard to really understand. You just want to know it when you do it the first time. Like, wouldn't that be nice? Like, wouldn't it just be good to like just not ever like have to crash and burn? You just like, because in hindsight, it's so obvious, but when you're in it, couldn't be further from.
I even think with hindsight, like I just watched Everything Everywhere All at Once last night. Speaking about like spending time on media and stuff, that was a weird choice. So it was a long, weird movie. If you haven't seen it, it deals with multiversal stuff and minute choices, basically creating alternate universes and how some universes can be like the weirdest, coolest thing. And then some can be just a tiny, tiny bit off from what happened. And I don't know if hindsight could really help that, like for the make us better stuff, because again, there was just little tiny butterfly wing flaps that whether it was my brother going through a terrible breakup and basically leaving the warp whistle for me to just be like, what the fuck do I do with this now? Or like kind of, just different personalities or slightly mildly different decisions from different teams, or a wrongly interpreted sentence here or there. Like, I don't think there was, like you said, there was nothing malicious, but I also don't know if, like, I think there's a universe where it exists that Make Us Better worked. And it was just tiny little things in this specific universe that it just didn't this time. But like, I think everyone involved went and learned something and took something positive from it, that it did end up making us better. So like, I think that was mission accomplished.
That honestly, I'm glad that you said that sort of unprompted, I think, like, cause that was my kind of debrief to myself over the whole thing was, I really do think that everybody has at least a thing to take away from this. And as as whatever I was in it, I was like, what else could I really hope for in the end? And the other sort of piece that I think about in terms of like almost like inexperience at the time was, I don't know that we really even thought enough about the different types of podcasts there were in order to better integrate, right? Like we just kind of, you and I just talked like, you can do a Star Wars episode on lightsabers. Like there's multiple, we could have had multiple Nintendo shows. We could have had like your typical, like you do the news, you could have had If We Ran Nintendo, you could have had a bunch of other stuff. And even with carpool gaming, I'm kind of thinking that even at the same time, like, are there other versions of different shows that we could bring other people on? Like, this is me just literally spouting off the top of my head. Ryan and Court and Kato are just like, what is he on about now? But that's the one thing you can count on me, and probably you as well, Mark. Like you have an idle moment just for a second. You get going, your mind goes somewhere. And you're like,
if Charlie and Todd are listening to this right now, they know a conversation from maybe a week ago that I pitched something insane, and they were just like, they said some of the words you just said, the same kind of things of like, nah, too much overlap, or like too much of this, or like, no, that's too similar to what we're doing already. And it was like, well, okay, cool. I just spitballed something because I was literally bored for 30 seconds, and that's how my brain works.
And now my calendar, but then you put it out there, and you're like, and now you're doing the thing. That's it. Yeah. I mean, it is funny to think. It's fun to think about that, the multiverse kind of thing. Like in some world, there's Nintendo nostalgia guys are right there, and Warp Whistle. Like, I mean, we kind of did have like, you could still come and do a bunch of Nintendo stuff, but It's actually so long ago. And I'm trying to remember if that was, I actually would have had Lincoln in the car talking to you guys on like a Discord call or something like that. And I think I had Lincoln like as a baby, just like in the backseat. So, I probably wasn't even at my best. Certainly, the Xbox Drive with Luke, I think, came to an end when Ellie was like 8 months old or something like that. So yeah, they're like, if you ever need how did kids kind of impact me, just like look at podcasting world. I ended We the GamerCast for the first time just as Ellie was being born, either a couple weeks before or after, something like that. Like,
and like there's so much in the past stuff and not even necessarily connected to make us better, that like I just did a video for the Snack Network with
Dave. You beat me to it. Oh, I know. I love it.
I picked up the other 2 bars. I'm going to do that this weekend.
That's so good.
But like, there was that, like the whole like day space kind of thing.
Man.
And I think from that, like there were a few of us on there that felt certain ways about that. And for me, after all of these things, because again of how my brain works, I always think like, could I have done differently? And now everyone hates me. So, and like how long are they going to hate me, or can I talk to these people again? And they're probably thinking the same thing, or not even thinking that at all. And it's all in my head, but that's just how I work. And it's anxiety. And that's why I have no nails since I was like 4.
You bite your nails? Get right up in there.
I'm a very anxious, introverted person, despite me doing several podcasts and all.
Same. I know.
I am a very scared and shy little boy on the inside.
You just need gigantic headphones and a microphone and a webcam. Yep. That's it.
That is it. And so anytime something remotely small goes awry, I'm part of me is like beating myself up, and then part of me forces that other part to be like, stop worrying about this. And like, if people are holding some grudges, hopefully they'll get over it, and hopefully we'll all learn from that. Like I just said,
totally.
I think, everything kind of happens for that reason, kind of thing. And we can move on. And I'm so hyped to be like working with Dave again, and like, doing man, the Snack Network, and like texting, just like randomly.
Yes, same.
Talking to him and just being like, yo, dude, I'm super excited. Like, what else can we do? Like, could I get like a bag of chips or something? Like, what else can I do now? Like,
just poutine and ketchup chips, man. Like, let's go. We're just like the Canadian arm of, dude, you could actually call it that, like the Canada arm of Snack Network, but there's a space kind of thing that, the Canada arm, the Canada arm. Yeah, man.
And he, I love that. That's awesome.
I don't know. Let me just tell you guys, the reference I am making is the space thing. Yeah. Anyway,
space. I love it. I love it. There's been so much exciting stuff going on in space. We'll talk for another 3 hours. If we go on.
I know. This James Webb telescope is just hanging out in space, man. They're just like, and you keep going and park, and you're just going to float in that little spot that doesn't go towards the sun or back towards Earth. You're just going to hang out.
So cool. Those images are
freaking gravity. Oh my gosh.
Going back to that word.
One of the things you just touched on, and I don't want to keep you until you have to leave for the cottage. But one of my favorite things, Dave and I used to do the Xbox Drive together, of course, when we launched it. And I don't even know where it even came from. I don't remember if he did it first with me or with Johnny Casino or whoever it was. But he always says, "Hi, Sean." Oh, you know what it was? It was him, whenever he would get spicy or salty about something, he'd say like, "Hi, Microsoft." And then he would kind of just talk at Microsoft about something he was upset about. So that was always one of my favorite things about Dave. He always had like this really, and he still does, like he has this like particular way of saying like, "Hi, Sean." Yeah. And that's how we text each other. "Hi, Sean." "Hi, Dave." Like
I love that.
It's so, I don't know, like, these are the things that we have with our friends. Like we have like these little weird things, and I can't help it. It's such a dumb thing, and I can't help but smile thinking about it. And the fact that Dave and I talk to each other like as often as we do now is the greatest. And Luke and I were just chatting the other day, and like all these things, it's the best. The fact that things can come around, and it's awesome.
It's pretty great. And it, like, thinking about, so all that kind of stuff aside, like, I know you're very similar in age to me. I'm 37. You're like the
37.
Same. 37.
Yep,
okay.
Yeah.
So like,
birthday's at the end of the month.
Thinking about that, like, what we just talked about and all that we just said, and like how we grew up of like, don't talk to strangers, don't talk to people on the internet, don't do this, don't do that. Like just, like, holy crap, this is cool.
Yeah, dude, the thing that there's
relationships
better than like some family in some cases. It's better than, people I've known since forever. Like, yeah, man, like there's people who I've met on the internet who, if like I had gotten married now, like people would be at my wedding party, they'd be there, like it would just be a completely different story, man. That is so true. And it was early days We the GamerCast when I first had Lee Navarro on, and at the end I might have been on his show actually first on Phoenix Overdrive, and at the end he's like, if you're ever in upstate New York, like come by Extra Life. I'm like, I'm not even supposed to be talking to you right now, like let alone like going to like your town or whatever. And yeah, fast forward a couple of years and Extra Life, and the things that are crazy, they just happen later on. And I don't know, man, you talked about gratitude and just staying positive and stuff. Like those are the things I've got in my back pocket. Like anytime there's like a rough day or whatever, it's like some pretty good stuff. We're pretty lucky for sure. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, it was bound to be positive, really.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I need to, have you verbally confirm while the thing still says recording. You're coming back before the end of the summer. This 5 years business is not happening. I'm breaking a bunch of rules. I'm sorry, anybody else who wants to come on the show. You have to come back.
I'm in. Name
good.
It. I'll be there.
How about not until 1 a.m. for you? And I'm so sorry about that.
No,
we'll do something better.
It's a Friday night into Saturday night. I'm good.
Well, I appreciate tomorrow. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Do you want to, you talked a lot about the content that you are creating. Do you want to let the people know where it is that they can find all the stuff, where they can find you and all the links I should put in the show notes?
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you want to follow me specifically, it's _Canardian pretty much everywhere. Twitter, Twitch, even though I haven't done any live streaming. My wife and I were into it for a bit and we want to get back, but eventually. But yeah, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever. And if you want to follow the Secret Friends stuff, so I'm on 2 shows there, Co-op Mode and Holocron Chronicles, but we also have Code 47, which is a Star Trek show, and then Secret Friends Unite, just general, which is all just, the rest of the nerdy stuff with Charlie and Todd. So it's all over on secretfriendsunite.com or at Secret Friends U on Twitter. And we're on all the podcast feeds and all that usual stuff. And YouTube, and we finally just crossed 100.
Yes.
So we have like youtube.com/secretfriendsunite, and that's awesome. So big focus on video, and we're making plans to do more video stuff and try to find the time to do that, because that's tough as well.
Yeah, video is easy. Yeah, it's pretty fast.
Man, it was so much fun doing the video for the Snack Network, and it got me like back into like, and I had a great conversation with Dave about that, of like, 1 minute video is so hard to do, but like it's such a fun challenge that I'd love to start doing that again. And just like quick form video of like a concise thought just boiled down and condensed into because like we can talk for almost 2 hours and it's not that tough. It's pretty great, and we flow, I think, pretty easily just talking to one another because there's no time limit on it. But if we had to condense some of the more important thoughts into like even 5 minutes of this conversation, like that's tough. That takes some planning and some thought and some foresight of what you're going to say and how you're going to say it. And it's a fun experiment.
Well, you just backed yourself up into a corner here, Mark.
I know.
You have 1 minute. Let's close things up with like a minute. Let's do it. Let's create our 1 minute like version of We the GamerCast for this. Like, how do you even do that? Like, it's like a soundbite kind of thing.
I think that would be, at this point, that would be a soundbite. But that maybe next time I'll come on, we'll do like a minute pitch or something like that. Or
okay, how about that? We'll end with this, and I'm looking at the clock here. We've got 1 minute to go. Tell me why you have Boba Fett's head on just a counter, just like as if you didn't just decapitate him.
Oh, that's not Boba Fett's head. That's the Mandalorian helmet. That is Din Djarin's helmet right behind me on my shelf. And I got that because the Mandalorian is, I think some of the best Star Wars in a long time. And it came out at a perfect time of me becoming a father. So every time I watch that show, I see this guy who was kind of like going through the universe and traveling a whole lot, and then finally settled down with this amazing little child and just found out who he was. And every time I see Din and Grogu, I think of myself and my son, and we're just going through this universe and just trying to find all the good stuff. So that's why
nailed it. You nailed it, and it shows what I know. It shows that I need to watch The Mandalorian actually, and
that's a great show, man.
Catch up, because all I can think about is him or actually it was Django who got his head cut off, and then Boba Fett is actually like holding his. Is he holding his head inside that helmet?
No. The head. The
head is gone.
The head came out.
Okay.
So they went, and I think there's a shadow or something that you can see if you go frame by frame. But Mace Windu cuts the head off, and the helmet goes one way, and the head kind of flops. So he picks up, Boba Fett picks up the helmet. Young Boba Fett picks up the helmet, looks at it, and because everyone's kind of expecting the head to fall off, but the head already head's over off screen somewhere.
You should put the head in a box and send it to Brad Pitt. Mark Carabin, I'm so happy that we got to hang out tonight, man. I'll see you over Skype or whatever the hell this is before the end of the summer. I hope you have an awesome weekend, man, and thanks for staying up late for me tonight, dude.
Anytime, literally anytime. Thank you so much. This was fantastic.
There's so many great little tidbits in that conversation with Mark, and especially having had the weekend I've had since talking to him, I need to take some of those lessons to heart, man, and really reflect on them, because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, when I get sick like this and my body breaks down, like everything is breaking down with me, and I need to really take this conversation and be grateful for it. We're great timing, man, but man, I get so frustrated with myself when I can't do what I'm setting out to do. There's like a lot to, oh man, what a brutal weekend. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of like dumping it on you guys here, but I feel like I'm letting so many people down when I can't do this stuff. And I'm just so grateful you guys are still here, still supporting, still with us. I'm so far behind on like the Pants podcast. It's ridiculous. And yeah, sometimes feeling like I've bitten off more than I can chew, but we're going to deal with it. I'm so grateful to Mark for his positivity this week, man. And I don't mean to dump on you guys. I hopefully like the show actually had a lot more of me doing this actually. And I always feel bad about it, especially when I'm at my worst. I always feel bad. But I think that I just sort of needed to express that a little bit. I've basically just been in my room for the last 24 hours and just like not a good spot, but it will pass. And I'm thankful you guys are here. And one of the ways that we're going to lighten things up here a little bit is Josh Stapleton. You guys know Josh Stapleton, wonderful friend, has been supplying great clips of Bobby Paul's a Nintendo Guru, who is the person who actually introduced me to Mark Carabin, and would just say the most amazing and positive things about Mark. When he would say, "Oh, Sean, you got to meet Mark," like he thought the world of Mark. And so Josh has been sending clips of Bobby, and I've been going through them just sequentially. I haven't been picking and choosing, just like whatever was first, I went with that one first. And the one that is for this episode, I haven't done any special choosing, nothing. The one that just lined up is Bobby and Mark on an episode of the Ink Strike podcast. That was their Splatoon podcast. So if that isn't cosmic, that's just a sign from somewhere that everything's going to be okay. Thank you, Josh, for sending me all of these clips. Thanks to Mark. Thanks to everybody for listening. And I will see you guys next week. Okay, bye-bye.
Like everybody caught up to me. Because before it didn't matter who you were. I could always advance ahead. But it feels like the competition's much stiffer in this one. And I don't know whether that's just because the people we're hanging out with now are just that good, or I just got that bad, or I haven't found the proper weapon calibration yet. Like,
let me
say one thing here. I've played a few matches with you, and I've played a few matches against you. You have not gotten bad.
Okay.
I think everyone else has gotten good.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that makes me feel a little better.
I think the competition's a little stiffer this time around.
I think that's the thing. It definitely feels like everybody has really stepped it up in terms of their skill levels. But for me, I'm loving it, man. It's just more. But I gotta say, man, like you were saying, the community is insane. Like like you said, the rooms are full, and so when I'm streaming, I have my friend code up so people can jump in and all that stuff anytime they want to play. And then, like, I'll just jump into a room, and the next match, the room is almost full with all my friends. Or people that are on my friends list, put it that way.
Yep.
And then I'm getting new people coming in, and they're sitting in the chat while we're there, and they're like, hey, I just added you. And I'm like, okay, give me a minute. I'm going to jump out. I'm going to try to add, which that's a lot more fluid than the Wii U.
Oh, yeah.
You can get disconnected, but it's a 50-50 shot. I've gone out, added people, come back in, and I'm still playing, and then I've done it, and I got disconnected. Which is
that's what happened to me yesterday. I got a new friend request while I was playing. I was like, okay, let's see if this, or maybe 2 days ago or something like that. But anyway, that's what it was. It was like, okay, let's add this person. I could see, obviously it was someone from the Super Indie Podcast LFG group. So I jumped out and I was like, okay, yeah, maybe someone new to play a match with, and I was like instantly kicked out when I went back in. But it was like,
the thing that I learned, just a tip that tends to work a little bit. So what you do is you click it when you come out and you hit continue, and then you wait for the screen to pop up where the name starts sliding in. That's when you want to bounce out. It seems like if you do it then, by the time you come back, you're right there where you're coming up out of the
See, that's when I clicked it. I hit continue,